Hey guys, yeah, thanks. Very happy to have Carlos Moreta joining us once again from Bear Bull Traders back on the show. We had such a positive response the first time he was on the show that we are excited to have him back for a second time. We'll touch a little bit on Bear Bull Traders, the website, some of the upcoming events they have coming up in the near time future, and we'll get his take on this crazy market. Obviously, lots of volatility to deal with from a retail standpoint. That definitely creates some challenges. There's Carlos. How are you, my friend, on this exciting Friday, I guess is a good way to put it.
It is a very exciting Friday, and it seems like every morning's been exciting with the way the market conditions have been. So I'm doing very well. Hope you are doing well also.
Yeah, it's been an exciting couple of weeks now. We're heading towards the third week, I guess, of this volatility. Tell us, give us an update quickly right off the top on Bear Bull Traders. How has the past month been? We had you on about a month ago now. Any upcoming events or webinars you want to promote?
Yeah, so we do actually have some good coming up events. Every Wednesday we had, like we spoke about before, this success webinar. And we're happy to have a lot of guests that have been experienced in this industry, that have tons of years under their belt. We do have a couple of guys that are coming up in the following weeks. Next Wednesday, we have Tom, as you can see here on the screen. This guy has a lot of experience, well known in this industry. He's going to be talking about probability, position sizing, and risk management, which is important in any type of trading you're doing. Risk management is a huge key to your success. And then after that, we have Thor, one of our moderators who learned through our education system, came out as a great trader. He understands level 2 better than anybody else. And if you go to our website, you're going to see a lot more webinars like this one every week that we're providing for our members to be able to join in on.
And we get into this type of market conditions, very, very volatile, increased ranges on the day. Traders, I can only imagine, Carlos, traders, especially on the retail side, constantly searching for information. So is there a specific type of webinar lately that has been attracting a little bit more viewership, do you think?
Is definitely the risk management. So we're really focused on bringing in people that have experience in risk management and how you can manage your risk during these times, because just the way the market's been moving, if you're not managing your risk correctly, it can really hurt your bottom line and your account, and it could be the end of your trading career. So we're really focused on bringing in a lot of risk management and account management when it comes to day trading into the community. That seems to be a topic that the majority of the community is very interested in.
Let's jump into some market topics here. Obviously, increased volatility, increased uncertainty in the market as a whole. How has your approach changed during this period as far as maybe strategies go? How have you been approaching the market versus when we see more of a relaxed environment, not such uncertainty?
It's definitely going to be down to the position sizing. So we're advising our traders in our community, keep your sizes small. Make your money on the actual move of the trade and not the size. If you go too heavy and things go against you in this type of market, it is not forgiving and things could be move very fast against you and aggressively. The next thing is trading psychology. When new traders come in, they have a very hard time getting familiar with this type of market condition, and mistakes can be very costly. So we brought on, before the last time I was here, as Dr. Jonathan Katz. He's a psychologist and performance coach, and he's going to be working closely with our members on their issues that they have and how we can create webinars and material in our psychology module to get them to get them out to the community. And next to him was Mike Baer. He's also a moderator that's going to be working closely with Dr. Cass to kind of get the feedback from the community on what things we want to focus in to be able to bring topics that can help our traders.
Yeah, it's so important, I think, to reiterate that point, especially in, periods when the market's a little bit crazy and moving around all over the place, to have a bit of an outlet to go to as far as discussing your trades, discussing maybe a big losing day or possibly even, a big winning day. It's very easy to get wrapped up in, your P&L when the market is moving around so rapidly. What do you tell your guys as far as, psychologically wise? How do you approach days like this?
Well, we're very upfront with our guys. We tell them, hey, this is it's not an impossible condition to learn how to trade, but it is a very challenging time to learn how to trade. And you got to be very careful. And like you mentioned, it goes both ways. It could be big losses, and also big winners can build that overconfidence, and then you think you're going to get that type of move every single time, and you realize quickly that's not the case, and you start seeing smaller winners on a regular basis, and you think there's something wrong with your approach, and it's really just the market condition with the way the volatility and the volume has been moving some of these stocks. Stocks that usually move 50 cents, 30 cents are now moving $1 or $2. That's not normal market conditions, right? So we got to be aware of that, and we want to prepare them as much as possible when they go into the field like that with this type of market environment.
Now, you mentioned cutting position size down to help control the risk as far as daily trades go. Talk a little bit about strategies that you would employ during higher volatility conditions versus some that are not necessarily working because of the higher volatility. And I think it's really important to kind of emphasize the importance of being able to shift gears here and bring out those strategies that we might not use on a daily basis but do work in these kind of environments.
Yeah, so to give you a specific strategy, I love the opening range breakup on the 5 minute. But now if you wait 5 minutes, that stock is well long gone and it's already too extended to take a trade. You have to wait for a pullback. So that strategy, we know, doesn't work very well now. We're being very cautious on it. And one that's been working very well is one I took today is an engulfing pattern. These engulfing patterns, when things drop and completely engulf the candle before, are working very well, especially if they're breaking out of pre-market levels, all-time high levels, HOD levels. These are becoming very popular and are working very well during this time because you have the volume and you have the volatility to get things going the way you need to. Yeah,
you talked a little bit about a stock that typically might move about 50 cents on a day, now kind of traveling dollars at a time in some cases. When the overall market is in focus, when the overall market is moving around, individual names kind of get pushed to the back. You still can find some moves, but maybe talk a little bit about trading the overall market, shifting your focus to maybe the SPY or the QQQs or an ETF that covers the entire market versus an individual name.
Yeah, we actually have, I don't do them myself, but we have a couple of great moderators and traders that are focused on trading the SPY and just looking for this volatility. Our more experienced traders are trading something like the TVIX, the indexes, and they're able to, really read the market very well. But we tell our traders, be very careful with these ETFs. Some of them are very leveraged, so you want to be cautious on the type of move you're going to get there. And it goes back to that risk management and taking a appropriate size for the type of trade you're going to be taking and managing that risk correctly.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit about cutting your position size down significantly in conditions like this. I think liquidity is a good thing to mention here as well. Obviously, a stock that you might be used to trading. I'll use AMD for an example. AMD typically, a higher liquid stock gives you all kinds of opportunity to take some size. Trading very, very thin right now, so it's important to kind of shift gears and move towards strategies that are more adaptive in conditions like this versus ones that rely on higher sizing positions. Is there an example of a stock maybe you would kind of go to in a case like this versus a time when it's not so volatile?
Yeah, AMD is a great example. AMD sometimes normally does not move very well, moves very little. In these type of market conditions, we're seeing great moves out of AMD. It's got great liquidity. It's a great price range. You can really manage your risk properly. The spread is always very good on AMD. Apple is another great one as well. These are stocks that you can really watch almost every single day and just wait for that opportunity to get a good entry and take a trade. You can really manage your position and sizing very well.
We talk a lot about psychology around the floor here. Obviously, we have the ability to kind of bounce ideas off each other. Lots of guys sitting around looking at the same things, talking about the same things. From a retail standpoint, from a psychological perspective, a big losing day because of market volatility can really hurt as far as your psychological approach to the market goes. How do you, as a retail trader, kind of bounce back from a big losing day?
Yeah, you got to build your confidence against once you do that. I had one gentleman, he emailed me yesterday where he had a really good trade and he only made X amount of dollars, but if he would have taken on more risk, he'd tell me, hey, I would have made this much, which is a lot more. But I tell traders, think about how much you can lose if you were to take that size, right? Always think about how much you can risk, how much you're willing to risk on your account, on the size, and then focus on what is at risk opposed to what you can gain. So we always start telling our traders, you got to be very careful, be cautious about the risk you're taking on. And if you take one of these heavy losses, you got to build that confidence back. And a good way to build that confidence back is we tell, you got to let go of your ego, go back to simulation for a week or two if you have to. If you're not great at these market conditions, look at your track record. Are you better when the market is trading less volatile? Then trade during those times, take advantage of it. And if you're struggling during this time, go back to sim for a week. The market's not going to go anywhere. The conditions are going to go back to normal eventually. Come back when you are successful, when you have a proven track where you do great at, right? Do what you do great more often.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I think a lot of guys maybe hesitate to go back to the simulator. We had a couple of guys on the floor here today saying this morning before the open, saying, they were considering maybe trading sim for the rest of the month as long as this volatile, conditions are present. But great points there. Let's talk a little bit about trading. How are you approaching the market today? We touched on, that opening range type of idea. You mentioned a 5-minute time period. Now, sometimes you get dollar moves in that first 5-minute time period. Yes. Is it the type of strategy that you can kind of narrow down your focus and maybe use a 1-minute or even a 2-minute time frame instead of such a 5-minute time frame?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do a 1-minute opening range breakup now at times where you're getting these big moves early on. So we have a 1-minute opening range breakup, a 2-minute opening range breakup, and when these are happening, breaking through a level of resistance, such like a VWAP, or high of the day or previous day close, you really get that volume and that momentum that comes in. So that's what we're really focusing on. INO was one that was very strong today. There's a couple that you did have some really good moves that were not 5-minute opening range breakup. We're looking at a shorter time frame to take advantage of those opportunities.
You mentioned INO there, Inovio. Let's talk about the coronavirus stocks. Obviously, all kinds of opportunity, both directions. How have you been, approaching this as a group? It seems like every day we come in, there's maybe 2 or 3 more have been added to the list. How have you guys been approaching these?
We've definitely been taking a lot of great momentum plays. We also have traders that are trading in the pre-market, setting themselves up when they see a level that's being formed at the pre-market and getting in well before the volume comes in, positioning themselves in the right way to be able to take advantage of it. Also, we're telling our traders, you got to be very aggressive on both ends. And when we say aggressive, we're not talking about putting a tight stop. We mean when it gets to your stop, you got to get out immediately. There's no thinking, is it going to come back or not? And when you have when you landing ball in the green, take some profits off. Be aggressive on both ends because this market can flip on you so fast now that you don't want to be, being left with the bag on your hands.
Let's talk about today. What were you looking at today as far as maybe in the pre-market? We had a whole bunch of names that we covered at 9 o'clock this morning as far as things that were moving around in the pre-market. How did you approach today?
Yeah, so we had a couple of stocks here today. We have NIO, we have Zoom, and we have Bank of America, and also the airlines, American Airlines and United Airlines. But all of these were trading very well, a lot of volume in the pre-market. So I really like the way they were forming up. The one I traded today was Bank of America. It did a beautiful engulfing pattern. It had dropped down that first 5 minutes. This kind of the process where it got too extended. But on the way back up, you saw the buying pressure. And the best part about it, it broke up at the high of the day of the last candle, right? So that was a perfect indication. If it breaks through that, it's going to keep moving. And that's a stock that we took an advantage on there. We also had NIO. I missed that one because I was in Bank of America, but that was a great trade. That stock was really strong, took off right at the open, gave you a nice pullback for re-entry. We had a lot of members or more experienced guys even add at that point, and the ones that missed the move waited for that pullback and got into a play. So it's important during this time that, again, if something gets away from you, do not chase it. Wait for an opportunity. That's very important. Sometimes you get the fear of missing out. You jump in on something because you missed your entry, and the pullbacks are so aggressive. They're not easy to hold through that. And if you hold through that, you could be putting yourself in a very, very bad situation.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to reiterate. Patience in this environment is a virtue, to say the least. I've noticed over the past couple of days, we've seen some coronavirus-related stocks, kind of gapping to the upside in the morning, and other names the same day gapping to the downside. Has there been a method that you guys have been using to maybe sort through the ones that are relatively strong versus the ones that are weak?
Yeah, so every morning our gappers list the last couple of weeks has been huge. And we're talking about 40 tickers on the gappers list. So what we've been doing, myself and my partner that we do the morning show every morning, Norm, what we've been doing is we've been focusing on the one that are gapping up or down more than about 4%. So that's kind of giving us a list of things that are actually moving. And then we're going through each ticker and seeing which one actually has a catalyst. Did they get an upgrade? Is there something else causing this move that can fuel it to give it even a greater move, right? So it's not an easy time to find final watch list. There's a lot on there. You kind of filter through and see which you can take off and what gives you the best opportunity to get a good move on.
There's so much to discuss here, Carlos. I feel like we could chat all day long. I want to get the guys involved here. I know they have a few ideas as far as what they were trading today. I'm going to throw you over to Neil and Sean.
Okay, excellent.
Hey Carlos, great to have you back on. Of course, we've both been waiting eagerly to talk a little bit of shop with you. Brendan, touching a lot of points that we wanted to make here. One of our traders, you talked about going into simulation mode. I overheard this. One of our guys said if you see the futures or the market buy into today and we get a full retracement, he would go into sim for the rest of the week. Another guy bet that he wouldn't have the discipline to do it. So we'll see if that does happen. I love that instinct. I want to ask you something that just popped off to me, because we look at something like an NIO, and I know a lot of retail traders would say a $4 stock, it can be hard if you're in that spread trading game, taking a couple of pennies here or there. You mentioned going back into simulation mode. Now, if you're looking at something like an NIO where maybe getting the fill is very important, 1 penny here or there can make a gigantic difference, is that a case where you might encourage somebody, hey, look, you need to be sort of actively trading this one, even if it's with smaller size, to make sure you're understanding the mechanics of it and catching fills, whereas opposed to sim trading and possibly paper trading is more effective on your AMDs and your BACs of the world?
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes sim trading for depending on the individual, sim trading does not work for them. They feel like they're not, they don't take it as serious, or something in their mind just doesn't click with that process. So that's exactly what we tell them. Take a smaller size. Do not worry about the P&L. Worry about having good execution. Worry about the process. Once you build a good process, the outcome is going to come. You can scale it up later on. You can, when the next opportunity comes up, you can have a bigger size. But build the process first that works over and over again, that you have proven for yourself. Every trader is different. What works for me might not work for you. So you have to kind of build that proven process and then take advantage next time it comes up with a bigger size. But right now, take a smaller size just to have some skin in the game. And sometimes that's a better approach.
Exactly. Trust the process. May not work for Philly, but it certainly works for trading.
Hey man, Joel, do you follow basketball at all there, Carlos?
I love basketball, man.
Okay, so he is referring to Joel Embiid. But I want Joel Embiid here in Toronto. Can you believe that some of these analysts, before they broadcasted, before the season, that the Raptors weren't even going to make the playoffs? And bingo, bango, bongo, they kicked their ticket last night. Here's the swish. Raptors in the playoffs again. Could do some damage. Obviously, we're a little bit afraid of the Bucks. Who's your team?
I'm a Knicks fan. I'm a local guy.
Sorry about that.
But, let's change the topic.
Yeah, okay. Change the topic. Yeah, good point. Okay, yesterday you and I were tweeting a little bit back and forth there. Great to have such knowledgeable people in the community. Great to keep doing it with you even today. I know yesterday, Carlos, you guys traded RCL, some of the cruise lines, Carnival as well. Are we just going to continue to do this day after day? Every day we come in, you can go to my screen right now, American Airlines. We shorted today rate in the pre-market. We're able to catch some on the lows. Then it breaks above 15. We take long, get out. Then look, market breaks down once again, and I short the market right here, basically 1650 on AAL, and now we're 65 pennies in the money. When do you think this stops, or when you look at trades, do you look at them sort of on a daily range? Do you guys hold anything maybe overnight? Are you swing traders? What do you guys exactly do? Or maybe more importantly, what is your style over there at Bear Bull Traders?
Yeah, so my style, I'm not a swing trader. I don't hold anything overnight, especially in these market conditions. Right. That could be a scary thing because you just don't know what to expect. I mean, look at the SPY the way it is. You look at that chart, we don't know when the bottom is going to be, and I'm not going to be one that's going to be looking to guess that, right? Stocks like CCL, American Airlines, United, all these stocks are directly affected by this news. I'm going to be watching every single day. CCL and then the cruise lines is something that, again, they're having a really tough time. This is something that really has impacted them directly. The whole market is being impacted, but you got these couple of names that you want to keep an eye on at all times. Even if the pre-market doesn't show great volume, even if they're not gapping down for that day, you want to keep an eye on them. If they're not on your main list, keep on your secondary list and just to see what you can get out of them. Because I think we're going to have a lot of fun with these stocks in the next coming days.
You know what? I'm going to ask you about one name here. We still do trade a lot of earnings plays today. I'm kind of surprised at the lack of movement with the big retailer Costco. I thought they would be a little more jumpy today than they are. I'm waiting for sort of this 312 to get blown off. Maybe we come back up here to 317 where we got to early on. There was a big trade here on the open. Did you guys have any of that? And if not, is this a name now, because there's not much movement, you would tend to stay away from?
Yeah, that's one we stood away from. And again, Costco we had on our list because it was gapping quite a bit, but
Right.
the volume was horrible. On a regular normal market activity environment, this stock will be the one in play today. But again, everything's being overshadowed by these stocks that are being directly impacted by this news. And we're just going to be taking advantage of the opportunities that we're getting with the current situation.
No, that's absolutely
so
perfect. I'll be
we're on
honest.
the same page.
We came in the same idea there, and for me, I took one shot at Costco. It was an abject failure. You move away, you jump into what's going to make a little bit more sense, and then you kind of you brush it off and then move on. One thing I absolutely love is you talk about everything you mentioned here boils down to your edge. You said you don't hold overnight, you stick to what works for you. Every trader has to have an edge. And I think that's one thing we love to stress here, and it's always great to hear that reinforced with experienced traders throughout the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have that edge, and over time, you're going to build your edge. And one thing we tell traders is during the simulation time, this is where you're building your edge. Then you bring that into your live environment. If something's not working, go back to simulation and figure it out. Do not make these mistakes during a live account.
Great. Carlos, look, let's keep the dialogue going back and forth. We love to have you back on the show at any time. I'm going to throw you back to Brendan. I know our traders in the back are eagerly listening as well. As you know, we're on a floor here of 20 to 30 traders right behind us. They love this segment. Thank you for keep coming back, and we hope to have you on again. I'll throw you back to Brendan.
Take care, guys. Great to see you.
Good stuff. Yes, Carlos, anything, just real quick before we let you go, I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but anything kind of, for next week or maybe the next couple of days, you think might be an opportunity that we might not have touched on yet today?
No, I'm just going to keep really watching on these stocks that have been directly affected by this news, looking at the SPY. I do want to eventually get into some long-term stuff. I think the SPY is going to bounce back eventually. So look out for these bounce backs. Also look out for stocks that have been doing very well that are now down because of this news. You got a lot of stocks like Apple, Nvidia, and these semiconductors that have been on a tear. And the only reason they're down is because of the virus news. So look out for that, because any sign of strength in the SPY in the next coming days, these stocks are going to probably follow suit. Fantastic, guys. Go check out bearbulltrader.com. Why don't you give everybody your social media accounts? Yeah, follow us at bearbulltraders.com, myself at Carlos MBBT on Twitter, and you can check us out there, and we'll definitely be love to keep in contact with you guys. Great stuff. Thank you so much, sir. Best of luck next week. It's going to be exciting. I can only imagine. Oh, yes, it is. Take care. Thank you. There we go, guys. Carlos Moreta from Bear Bull Traders. Go over, check out their website. Lots of fun content and information available over at Bear Bull Traders. Let's go back over to the guys.